quick little aside. So I've got two pairs of headphones. I'm wearing these. I don't know if you can see them, but they're the Sennheiser HD 6XX from Massdrop. So they're like the 650, but the cheaper Massdrop versions. And then these are the DT 990s, which are fairly popular. This is they call it the premium version, I think.
Yeah.
A little different. But I bought these two because I'm the kind of person that likes to figure it out for myself and see firsthand, versus just listening to random people on the internet. Because everyone's ears are different, especially for this kind of stuff. It's like all of our ears are different, and I'm not going to know unless I test it myself. I even have a pair of 770s up there actually as well. And I was shocked at the difference I heard from my 770s to the DT 990s. There was so much extra top end that wasn't there, that I had a similar experience as you did with the 65 Deluxe Reverb. You were saying when I pulled up some of my Helix patches with them, I went, holy cow, because it was one after another. I was switching. It was like changing a mic immediately, or a cab immediately. And I had that initial shock of, wow, this is so different. And obviously your ears set and like, oh, I actually really like the extra clarity and top end sizzle it has. So I really like what that brings. But if somebody were to pull up a patch with that, listening with those headphones, and then another person pulls up the same patch with the 770s, it's going to be a different patch to those two people.
Yeah.
And then as somebody who creates tones for a living like you do, that's got to be such a difficult thing to be able to navigate, because beyond that, I mean, that's just one facet of it. You have guitar differences. I mean, my telly behind me, I guarantee sounds nothing like your white telly.
Yeah.
They're both white, but I bet they sound nothing alike.
No, there's every variable can be so important. The tellies are a good example. I mean, my telly even sounded so much, and it's great sounding telly. It's one of my favorites I've ever run into. It's probably one of the only guitars I ever ran into that was like, it was my first telly, and it just kind of cured my gas for almost all other tellies, which I just never got it right on a guitar first try like that. And I'm really not much of a telly guy, but that one just impressed me. But like the Suze had a broadcaster for a while, and those pickups were so thick and fat, and it sounded great. And those two guitars just sounded nothing like each other, And then you get into the more. I mean, mine is a more '60s sound. It's a little brighter. It's a little more present. His was an like early 50s type tone. But man, no, what you're saying is true. It's so different. People ask me all the time, what's the best thing to listen to? There is no best thing to listen to. One of the things that I learned when I got to Nashville was I started talking to a lot of producers. And have you heard of NS7s, Yamaha NS7s?
Yeah.
I mean, they're famous because they're dogs. They're just, everyone knows that they're not great. And so when you go into a lot of studios here, you see them, and they're not even in production, I don't believe, anymore. But you see them in everyone's studio, and they're always along with other monitors. And what you don't realize unless you ask or you just know that nobody uses them is that they're always muted. And the reason they're always muted is that they're just there as a control to test. They mix on something else, and then they switch to the NS7s, because the saying is, if it sounds good on NS7s, it'll sound good on anything. So literally, they just mix, then they go to the NS7s, and whatever the problem is, they make some little adjustments, then they go back, and they're like, that's fine, that's good. It's funny that they do that, because that was their solution. Get bad monitors. And enjoy your good ones, mix your good ones, but then go to the bad ones and solve the problems, because your user is going to be listening on not good quality stuff, which is a really interesting way to think about it. So what I try to do is, my mantra has just been, I'm going to be consistent and I'm going to listen to people. And I know I have a reputation of putting out brighter profiles. Whereas like Michael Britt has a reputation, they call it the sort of his signature warm sound. Me and him have talked about that a lot. We think it's really funny. It's down to everyone's ears, and it's down to just, it's so challenging. It's so challenging. One person's like thick and grunty is another person's like too bright. and there's so many things. And you know where you see it a lot, man, is in-ear monitors. Man, I get so many people messaging me going like, my tones sound great at home, but when I go to church, they don't sound good anymore. I'm like, what are you using? And they're like, Shure 215s. And I'm like, I think we found the culprit. Okay, this is like, these are, but you know what? I have a pair.
Yeah.
And I've used them before, and they're awful, but they work, you know?